Hey guys, sorry it's been a while since my last video. I found out that the game store that I work in is closing down, like many game stores in the UK. So I'm getting made redundant along with everyone else that works there, so I've been looking for a new job. But I am planning on getting back to a more regular video schedule soon. I've got quite a few ideas in the works. One I'm really excited about is a concept video for a Red Dead Redemption 2 Supernatural DLC. And just before we jump into the news about Assassin's Creed, I've got a little sneak peek at that video for you. So yeah, keep an eye out for that video. I think it's going to be good. But today I just want to get back into the swing of things and cover the post-launch news that we've had for Assassin's Creed Shadows. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like down below, that really helps me out. And if you're new here, then don't forget to subscribe as well. Let's jump right into it, kicking off with what we can expect in early May. The developers have confirmed that we're going to be getting new story missions. Now, this isn't tied to the DLC, Claws of Awaji, which we'll talk about later, but instead are new standalone quest lines, which seem to be similar to the Lost Tales of Greece from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The first one is titled The Works of Louis Frois, and is centered around the Portuguese missionary that we meet during the game. The developers didn't go into too much detail about what these post-launch story missions are going to entail, and to be honest, they were actually kind of vague about a lot of things, but they did mention that these new story drops will include new activities, new allies that you can unlock, which is interesting, and also new abilities that we can use as well. Now again, there's no exact specifics on what we're going to be getting in this first one about Louis Frois, but for the second one in June, it does specify that we'll get a new recruit. And obviously with that will come some kind of new gameplay function, whether that's a combat ally or a stealth ally. Going back to early May, they mentioned quality of life improvements. I imagine this will be restoring the mass dismantle and mass sell options that were removed due to a bug. Again, no specifics were given there, but I'll be sure to cover it when we know more. Going into late May, things get a little bit more interesting. We get a parkour update with 3 new features. The often talked about height gaining side ejects, height gaining back ejects, and also a new feature to be able to grab onto low hanging ledges without having to do a wall run. It looks a lot smoother than the way that Nawe previously got up onto walls and ledges of this size, and I'm curious to see if it'll have any effect on Yasuke's parkour as well. And they did specify that this would be the first parkour update, so we will see more improvements of parkour in the future. Personally, I'm hoping that we'll finally get a freestanding manual jump, but we'll see. I've talked extensively about the gameplay improvements I'd like to see across the board in Assassin's Creed Shadows when it comes to combat, stealth, parkour, and much more. I'll leave a link to this video in the pinned comment if you want to check it out. And then also in May, we can expect to see some photo mode improvements as well. This is actually pretty cool. It adds things like poses and expressions. Things that I honestly was surprised to see missing in the photo mode, considering that that was one of the things they talked about before launch, and yet the photo mode that they launched with was fairly basic compared to a lot of other games these days. So it's nice to see that kind of brought up to speed. Heading into June, we get the second story drop that I mentioned earlier that includes the new recruitable ally, new difficulty settings for combat and stealth. I imagine this will be some kind of hardcore mode, maybe similar to the lethal option that we saw in Ghost of Tsushima. I'm really interested to see how they can make stealth harder than it already is on expert difficulty, because enemies can spot you from really far away and on rooftops already. And personally, I hope rather than just increasing the enemy's vision even more, which would become almost absurd, I think they should focus more on things like sounds. Like, sounds currently can alert enemies, but it's very hit and miss. Maybe on the harder difficulty that they're introducing, sound can be a much more important factor. Maybe even give us like a sound gauge like in the old Splinter Cell games. The Nightingale floorboards that you can find in castles which creak when you walk on them, they already have like a sound display when you walk over them. I think it'd be cool if this visual for sound was visible all the time, and it's fainter or more visible depending on how much noise you're making when moving around. That'd be a more interesting way of increasing the difficulty, I think. We're also getting some immersion options, such as the ability to turn off the filters when you do an assassination or an ability. And you can also turn off the lines that appear around the character model when you're hidden in things like foliage, which is something I'm quite happy about personally. I do find that kind of thing a little bit immersion breaking. They're also extending the alarm system to the open world rather than just castles, so you can now get wanted levels just by being in the open world and causing trouble. And they've finally confirmed that we'll have the option to have headgear on in cutscenes as well, which is great. Beyond that, they've confirmed their commitment to New Game Plus and said that it's going to increase the level cap and potentially come with some surprising rewards. I'm wondering if maybe that'll be legacy outfits, seeing as we still haven't seen those. They also said they're listening to community feedback, and a lot of the features, updates and quality of life improvements will stem from the feedback that we give, which is nice to hear. And beyond the two that are already confirmed, we'll get new story drops as well. And that's on top of extra Animus and store content as well. Another thing that was confirmed for late May is a special collaboration. Now again, they didn't provide any specifics on this, but a Ubisoft concept artist did post this art of Naue in Jedi and Sith robes wielding a lightsaber. So maybe a Star Wars crossover is on the way. That would be cool. And it makes sense as well with May. Even though it's late May, obviously we do have the Star Wars celebration and May the 4th coming up. So it would be a little bit late, but definitely something I'd be interested to see. I usually don't like the flashy over-the-top weapons and armor from the Helix store, but I honestly don't think I'd be able to resist using a lightsaber, and the robes look really cool. They did confirm that the first expansion, Claws of Awaji, will be releasing later this year, but again, no specifics were given, so we don't know the exact date. I can't imagine it being any further than 4 months away at the most, personally. That just about wraps everything up. Drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.